Metropolis is a film that's always been on my watch list for a visual reason. There is no denying that the artwork and the image of the robot is iconic and very striking for a film from 1927. But since this is a 2.5-hour silent film, it's been a little intimidating to sit down and watch. Silent films are a hard set of films to jump into, at least from my waning attention span, so normally I've stuck with the comedies from the era, Charlie Chaplin and so forth. However, after watching Metropolis, it really opened me up to the idea of checking out more from this era. Metropolis is a hard sci-fi dystopian film about an underground city of workers working for a man to keep the city above working. The man's son sees a woman and it's love at first sight. His son ventures down to the underground city to find the woman, and his father goes looking for him. That's a pretty lame description of the film, but if you haven't seen it, there's a lot more to it than that. I just don't want to give away very much of what's going on. I don't really want to describe the film for people who haven't seen it, since not a lot of people normally watch old silent films nowadays. This is one I think you kind of want to go into not knowing that much about the story. I think you'll be more engaged. The way the story unfolds and the characters within, their motivations and actions is really what kept me into the story as much as I was. To see a film that uses no dialogue other than dialogue cards, it was surprising to me to see so much character depth and development. To see a narrative that is so engaging without saying anything, I was surprised to see myself enjoying it as much as I was. Visually, the film is a masterpiece. There are so many great shots, amazing sets, and some really striking visual effects, especially for the time. The costumes and the makeup was all great, and honestly, the film just felt so ahead of its time. One thing I've always liked about looking back at old films like this is to see the culture and the time of the film. And sci-fi movies are always very interesting to me because they kind of have to guess what the future may be like. But Metropolis feels truly timeless. It carves its own path, not to really feel futuristic, but rather a society that felt organic to its own story. Now, with that all being said, it is still a 2.5-hour silent movie. That runtime in any movie requires some patience, and while the film does a lot of great things, it is still a silent film that's hard to get adjusted to at first. I feel like once you get into the first 40 minutes or so, you can kind of get into the groove, and if you're more familiar with silent films, then you've probably already seen this one.